The night was quiet. The town of Brookfield slept under the soft glow of the moon. Stars twinkled in the sky, but something strange moved among them. A sudden flash of light streaked across the heavens, brighter than any shooting star. In a remote field outside the town, a spacecraft crashed, leaving a smoking crater. John Carter, a widower and a simple man, was walking his dog when he saw the fire. Curiosity pulled him closer. As he approached, he noticed a small figure crawling out of the wreckage. It was a child, but not like any human child he had ever seen. Its skin shimmered faintly, its eyes glowed like twin moons, and its tiny hands had an extra finger on each. The child looked scared, confused, and alone. John's heart tightened. Most people would have called the authorities immediately. But John felt something different. Strange pull, a feeling that he was meant to protect this child. "Hey, it's okay," John whispered softly, kneeling down. The child stared at him, but didn't move. Its lips formed strange sounds, not human words, but somehow John understood the fear. Suddenly, the wind shifted. John sensed it a quiet hum, like metal brushing against metal. He turned and saw shadows moving along the tree line. He didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. Others had noticed the crash, and they were coming. John had no time to think. He gently lifted the child into his arms and ran back to his house. The streets were empty, and the town slept, unaware of what had just landed among them. In the safety of his home, he set the child down on the floor. The child looked around, touching the walls as if studying everything. It made soft noises, almost like laughter, and then it turned to John with wide, glowing eyes. John felt a shiver run down his spine. He had never seen a child like this. He didn't know its name, where it came from, or why it had come to Earth. For the next few hours, John tried to feed the child. It refused the food he offered: bread, water, milk. Instead, it pointed to a strange device it had brought from the spaceship. The device floated above the table, spinning in the air, glowing with a soft blue light. John's eyes widened. He didn't know if it was a toy or a weapon. Then came the first sign of danger. Outside, a low rumble shook the ground. John looked out the window and saw a strange shadow crossing the moonlight. Something was coming. Something fast. His heart pounded. He realized that the child was not alone in the universe. Others were searching for it. John had no choice. He packed a bag food, water, blankets, and carried the child to his car. He couldn't go to the police. They wouldn't understand. He couldn't risk the child being taken away. The child held onto him tightly, as if it understood the urgency. As they drove away from Brookfield, the child finally spoke or tried to. A series of strange clicks and whistles filled the car. John listened carefully. Somehow, he understood a single word: hide. The child wanted to hide from them, the ones who had followed it to Earth. The road ahead was dark and empty. John's mind raced. He thought of every possible safe place: a cabin in the woods, an abandoned warehouse, a hidden cave. But none of it seemed safe enough. Whoever was chasing the child was powerful, and they would stop at nothing. Hours passed. The town disappeared behind them, swallowed by darkness. The child, exhausted, finally curled up in the back seat, its glowing eyes dimming. John glanced at it and made a decision. He would do whatever it took to protect this child. Not because he had to, but because something deep inside told him this child was special. The next morning, they reached an old farmhouse, isolated and surrounded by thick woods. It belonged to John's late brother, who had left it abandoned years ago. It wasn't much, but it was safe. John carried the child inside, closing the door behind them. For a moment, all was quiet. The child explored the house, touching everything with fascination. John watched, feeling both fear and awe. He had never imagined his life would come to this human father, protecting an alien child from a war he didn't understand. But the peace didn't last long. That evening, strange lights appeared in the sky, tiny flickers, moving fast, like scouts. John's heart raced. The war he hadn't known existed had just arrived on Earth, and his home was now part of it. The child sensed it too. It made a low hum, vibrating softly in the air. Its hands glowed faintly as if warning John. He had never seen anything like it. His fear grew, but so did his resolve. He would not let anyone take this child. Not now. Not ever. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the woods. John grabbed a flashlight and ran outside. Between the trees, he saw a figure humanoid being, tall and covered in armor, with eyes that glowed like fire. It wasn't the child's size, but it radiated power. It stopped when it saw John and the child. Then, in a voice that shook the air, it said, "You cannot hide it forever. The war has begun, and you are already part of it." John's heart pounded. He held the child close. He didn't understand the language fully, but the meaning was clear. Danger was near, and there was no turning back. The child looked at him, eyes shining, as if asking him to be brave. John nodded. He didn't know what awaited them, but he had made a promise, human promise. He would protect this child, no matter the cost. The quiet town of Brookfield had no idea that the first battle of an intergalactic war had just started, and that a simple human father was now its unexpected hero. The night stretched on, full of unknown threats and whispered secrets. John sat by the window, the child asleep in his arms, and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, enemies were hunting. But he knew one thing for certain. Together, he and this alien child would face whatever came next. And so, the unexpected war began.